Thank you. And for those who I haven't personally met yet, my name is Aviva Vincent. I am the president of the International Association of Veterinary Social Work. We have our board on the call today, but I'm going to have them introduce themselves as they each give their piece. Kelsey is going to pilot us and lead us through our session. So Kelsey, do you want to share your screen?
Yes.
And I'm going to turn it over to you to facilitate, and I am excited to get going.
Perfect. Okay. Now worst case scenario, I might have to shut my camera off when I share
That's
if
okay.
it affects bandwidth, just FYI. I know that was a problem for some other folks yesterday too. Okay. Oh no, has stopped sharing. Hold on one second. Okay, can everybody see my screen? It should say annual member meeting. Good?
Perfect.
Okay, perfect. So I will go ahead and get us started then. First, before we get started, like Aviva, I just wanted to say welcome to everybody, to our current members. If anybody's on here that maybe is thinking about joining but hasn't yet, and thank you to our board for getting up early with us as well to join us. I've got to figure out, there we go. Okay. So like I said, welcome. We will kind of run through everything. Basically, each one of us is just going to give a really brief summary of what we've been up to this year, what we're looking forward to in the next year. And then like Aviva said, we want to leave a good amount of time for us to actually have some conversation, answer questions and that kind of thing. So this is just kind of a screenshot of our agenda for the day where everybody is just going to be giving the report. So for us to get started, what I would like to do is move to call our meeting to order. And if one of my board members could second my motion, that would be great.
Go ahead and second for you.
All right, perfect. All right, Aviva, you are up.
Thank you.
Yes.
So before I jump into 2022, I want to recognize in 2021, we were not all together. So if for those of you who heard the opening remarks, our association actually formed out of an association work group from the International Veterinary Social Work Summit in 2018. That group of people got together, really motivated, wanted to do something that supported education, research, and professional development in our area. And that group led to a formation committee. The formation committee took us through 2020, and that led then to the first inaugural board. Our board started meeting in 2020 straight through to 2021. In 2021, we had elected kind of some new members into those different board positions. A big thing that happened in that time frame is we actually had adopted our definition, our mission, and our vision. So those are all up on our website, and I encourage you to take a read and let us know what you think. Everything is a living document. And it's something that we were really passionate about making sure that we wordsmith correctly. So that was a really big takeaway from 2020 into 2021 was around wordsmithing, getting our mission, our vision, our goals, our website, opening up membership, having pillar meetings, which is what we would call kind of the community gatherings for research, education, membership, community building, kind of getting some movement. In 2021, we started also working with AHA and Veterinary Visionaries, which you're going to hear about. So those partnerships are now going into their second year. We also started getting involved in conversations for co-hosting the summit. So that started some future thinking. So coming into this year, we had elections for board of directors. So you're looking at your new board, though nobody is holding their new card anymore. We had 8 new board members step in. And from that time of formation back in 2020 into 2021, we had originally registered ourselves as a 501c4 because we saw ourselves predominantly as a membership-based organization. But since talking with all of you, we've really recognized that we need to shift into a traditional 501c3. There's a lot of reasons for that, and I don't want to take all of your time now, but essentially, we need to be able to be recognized as a charitable organization. We need to have access to different benefits that 501c3s have access to. And we need to be able to be recognized as 501c3 for your benefit as well. So that is something that is currently ongoing. We are regularly connecting with members via our cafes, which have been really well attended. That's where we have a topic speaker come in and lead a discussion for our community. And those are actually not just a membership benefit, but open to our community. We originally were going to have them be a membership benefit. And then we said, no, this is something that our entire community needs. And it may lead to membership later, which would be great, but it doesn't have to. It's important for our community. We've had a lot of one-to-one conversations and helping with supporting practice within veterinary social work across the US and Canada in particular. And we've had our quarterly newsletter go out with all different opportunities that you all have raised to us. Like, hey, I'm doing this research. Can you put my link in? Hey, I'm interested in leading this conversation. Can you put this in over here? And so it's been a really great networking tool. A number of our board of directors have presented about the work that we've been doing at international conferences and helping to share the veterinary social work profession and our shared work and vision. And that's been really exciting. And that's both within the social work field, the veterinary medicine field, and allied fields. So if you are doing work that kind of showcases the veterinary social work field, we want to know about it so we can highlight you as well. In a little bit, you're going to hear about our education offerings and some development. And so I'm going to hold that, but that is a really big piece of what we're doing too. I'm going to turn it over to the rest of the board, but by all means, if you have other questions for me, I would love to talk to you in a little bit. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Aviva. Okay, Augusta.
Hi guys, nice to see everybody, new and standing members. Thank you for showing up a little bit earlier today. We appreciate it. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about the education piece of what we've been working on behind the scenes. So this year we submitted our application to be a CE provider through the Association of Social Work Board. What that means is we will be able to promote our member CEs and as well as the board member CEs for US and Canadian social workers so that they can receive units, which is something that we really wanted to provide for our members. So that will be a member benefit. And then I myself have also taken over the cafe chat. So like Aviva said, they're open to everybody. They are still on the second Tuesday of the month. That's a little bit typo. A lot of Tuesdays happen. So they are the second Tuesday of the month, and we are wrapping up our 2020 year. So we're looking for people to talk, connect for 2023. And you can email myself or Becca, who's not able to join us, at the media@iavsw.org email. And we want to hear any topics you want to talk about. If you want to nominate yourself or another coworker, we also take those moments to kind of spotlight the work that's being done in the field. And we're also open to other topics such as an info session. If you have people that have been asking you about the association or the field and you're like, there's a good amount of people out there that want to know more, we're happy to host those open forum topics as well. That is all I have, Kelsey.
All right. Yeah, I will pop in really quick. So I am our secretary here at IAVSW. This is my first term. I've been in here since May. Have some very big shoes to fill. My job is kind of what you're seeing now, keeping our meetings running. If you email the info@iavsw.org email, I'm most likely going to be the one responding, send out welcome emails, that kind of thing. But to kind of piggyback off of what Augusta brought up with our working to get approved to provide CE, I wanted to put forward a little bit of a call for CEs. So if you have ideas, if you have topics that you would like us to cover, please let us know. Our goal is to serve you, right? So this is about what your needs are, what you would like to learn more about. So please let us know. And we really do value your involvement in this process to make sure that we're giving you guys what you need. So if you have any ideas, requests, please email me at info@iavsw.org, and I would be happy to kind of get those rolling with our board. And so that brings us to Kate with our financial update.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm Kate, and I am your treasurer. I'm also new to the team. I joined about 5 months ago, and I will take you through some finance highlights. So looking at the attached graph, our main revenue source for the group is membership, and it's just under about 50% of total revenues received since the org has started. So it's really critical that new members and membership renewals are consistent, and it's really the reason why our group is able to continue. So membership has been amazing and it's been increasing. So that's been great. So thank you everyone for joining. Next slide, please. Also, so our group has been able to stabilize and decrease revenues, decreasing expenses while increasing revenues significantly over the past year. And you can see that in the 2022 line. So with increasing revenues coming from membership and the summit, there's a ton of confidence in sustainability and growth within the organization, as it's been easier for the group to cover expenses with revenues. And looking forward to 2023, we're really expecting membership numbers to continue increasing like it has in the past year, and also increase our profits while decreasing our expenses and flattening those.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kate.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got Shelly up next if you're able.
I am, and I saw the question pop up in the chat about membership, so that led into it very well. So as you can see that our membership is growing from what Kate had said, and we have doubled membership from June of 2022 to today, and we have a very strong professional and student membership. We do have more professional members than student members, but that has been a recent change. For a long time, we were kind of half and half. And over the last probably about 6 months, we have strengthened our professional membership category. And we're starting to build organizational memberships and partnerships. That's been something that has been along the mission of the association, and trying to partner with similar minded organizations, and then also provide organizational membership as well. So that's something you'll continue to see more opportunities to grow. And we do rely on our members for board positions, and also very important for our committees as well. So whatever interest that you have, whether it's education, whether it's the partnerships, or even membership, newsletters, anything like that, we do want you to be involved in the organization and be able to help us to grow in the direction that you want. So, that is very important to become involved in the organization. We are built around our members and for our members. And, it gives you a lot of chances to grow and network as well. We have grown substantially, and we have new memberships coming in every day. So it's a very exciting period of growth.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, so we'll move on to our next report, which is going to be from Sarah about some of those partnerships that you've been hearing about.
Hi everyone. Oh, sorry, there we go. Hi everybody. So my name's Sarah. This is also my first year on the board, and I'm the director of partnerships. So currently, the partnership role has been working to continue our relationship with the American Animal Hospital Association and their CEO, Garth Jordan. And this was established by the previous partnerships director. So we have actually two major initiatives with this group. One is our Veterinary Visionaries Initiative, and the other is the review of the AHA accreditation standards, including their separate end-of-life care standards. So I'm just going to summarize both of those for you guys so you know what's going on. So for Vet Visionaries, the IAVSW is actually part of the Vet Veterinary founder team. So this is an initiative that was developed to focus on the broader theme of mental health and well-being within the veterinary landscape. The AHA developed a platform where public could write suggestions on how we could begin to tackle the issue. And from there, essentially other members could vote and moderators would take the top ideas and score them. And the winning idea, the purpose is that the winning idea is made actionable by a solution squad. So the winning idea for this round was the standards for psychological health and safety. And when I say this round, I mean that Vet Visionaries is going to continue to do problem solving events. The most recent one just closed in May. I believe there's going to be another one upcoming. I'm not sure exactly when that's going to be, but if it's something you're interested in, I believe that platform is open to everyone. So I highly recommend you check it out. We could certainly use more of our community involved in that process. So just to give you just like a quick summary, so the psychological health and safety standards idea was essentially that we take these standards and develop and adapt them as a part of a standard of practice in veterinary medicine. So it was suggested that we ask our ecosystem's primary practice standards organization, which is AHA, to work with a body of experts and create a set of standards and accreditation for small to large practices who want to adopt best practices for the psychological health and safety. So Partnerships is representing the IAVSW as a member of this Vet Visionary Solution Squad to work towards implementing this plan. So the squad actually meets monthly, and we're currently reviewing and finalizing the draft project plan to implement the idea itself. So that's some exciting things coming down the line. The review of standards. So in 2021, AHA and IAVSW just entered a memorandum of understanding that outlined a collaborative partnership to review the AHA accreditation standards that exist. So really the goal here for us was to have sort of a seat at the table for the accreditation committee, specifically to kind of review these standards through a vet social work lens, just being that the psychosocial piece of veterinary medicine and the human component is so a part of the forefront of this conversation right now. We just figured this would be a nice opportunity to get involved. So since I've taken the position over, we've revisited the initiative, and myself, along with some of our other board members, chose 5 standards from the end of life ones and the general ones to review. The purpose being to identify opportunities to attend to the human needs that arise during treatment in hospital and end of life. So once again, just that human component. So the status of this initiative, it is ongoing. I've got a meeting coming up with Garth and a member of the accreditation team in October to get everybody up to date and review what direction we will hopefully head in with this. And just in terms of next steps, so with our current partnerships being well underway and ongoing, the goal is to direct focus to onboarding some new partnerships that allow just for opportunity to share resources between organizations that are of course relevant and beneficial to members of the IAVSW. And just for that piece on the administrative front, we've been working to establish a set of partnership guidelines as well as some of our own documents to kind of successfully track between our partnerships and measure, what we want our activity together to look like. The other purpose being to ensure that when we onboard partnerships, they align with our values as well as our commitment to DEI, which I know will be spoken about a little bit more. But that is my run through of partnerships, and we're looking forward to going into the future. So thanks, guys.
Thank you, Sarah. That was excellent. Okay, speaking of DEI, we've got Bailey up next.
Good morning, everyone. I'm our Director of Governance and Bylaws, which means, like Aviva shared, we spent a lot of time and energy carefully crafting what would be our structure and our leading values. And so my job is to make sure that we lean in on those structures and that they're best implemented. And so one of those areas was looking in our policies and procedures and updating our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And through that, we updated both our long and short statement to ensure that we were highlighting that social justice and belonging were 2 key factors within that scope of work that we wanted to highlight and prioritize in our work as an association. And so And that we also looked at our continuing commitments, and those are shared up on the screen, so I won't read them one by one, but this is a little bit of what you can expect from both our boards and then our different committees moving forward. So we're going to be looking at offering at least one association related social justice learning opportunity each year. I'm guessing it's going to be more than that based on our membership and the interest of our association. That board members will be expected to participate in that. So we're having that same continued learning and commitment to these concepts and to these principles. That will be working on partnerships and maintaining at least one meaningful partnership that prioritize and is aligned with our DEI values as an association. And that will continue to ongoingly be looking at both our policies and practices and how those intersect with DEI, and that we're prioritizing social justice, anti-racism, belonging, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we are getting our committee back in action. I don't know if Angie is on the call, but she's done a beautiful job lovingly carrying the committee through this board transition. And if you're interested in participating, if you're interested in these social justice learnings and our communication and our partnerships and how they intersect with diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, please feel welcome to reach out to me and we'll get you connected in the committee. We're kind of finishing up some things from what we were working on before. So I think things will really kick off in January of 2023. So we're really excited to have more voices, more ideas, and more support in being able to follow through on our commitments and make sure that everything that we're doing is relevant, meaningful, and accessible to our membership. The other exciting thing that we did is we clarified our student board member. So I don't know if Bree is on the call either, but she did a beautiful job setting that up for future success so that our student board member is both correctly identified and that scope of practice is wide enough that it would welcome a range of students to be board members in the future. So we're really excited for that. And I think that's all of my shenanigans.
Awesome. Thank you, Bailey.
Can I call out one piece for Bailey real quick?
Yes.
Bailey came into our board with a different perspective that we haven't previously had in veterinary social work. So Bailey, not to put you on the spot, but I am completely doing that. The one thing that Bailey is also doing that's not entirely captured on this slide, to the extent of her work, is bringing ecological justice into veterinary social work. And I'm completely kind of shortchanging the scope of Bailey's work, but I want to call that out as well, because it is something that we heard from our membership and in education as being so incredibly important. And that is something that she really brings in as a content expert.
Yes. Thank you, Aviva.
All right. So back to me.
Yes, back to Augusta.
So Becca unfortunately could not be here as well, but I know she was looking forward to it. And you'll also notice that when in doubt, you can just come to me and I will make sure that you get to the right person. So I think somebody referred to me as like the Oz, like the person behind the green screen sometimes. Yeah. But so I have been working closely with Becca on the communication side of things. So we did a lot of recovering the lovely passwords, reorganizing our Facebook account, our LinkedIn, Instagram account, trying to make those much more engaging and consistent with posting. So you might see that because that is also going to help drive our membership and just spreading awareness of the VSW and the association. And then she has been doing this part. She has been working on our the back end of the website, so making it much more coherent and understandable from her side of view, so we can pass that along to our next board members too. And nothing will change with that. It just should be a lot cleaner for you guys to look at. It'll be easier for us to update information, to share job postings, frequently asked questions, things like that. So that is also coming down the pipeline.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Augusta. So next we have a little bit more of an ethical discussion with Jessica.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica. I'm also new to the board. I joined as Director of Ethics and Standards of Practice about 5 months ago. And over the last 5 months, we've taken some time to develop an initial draft of an IAVSW Code of Ethics. This draft is really exciting because it will serve as a starting point to open up a larger discussion of veterinary social work ethics. So we will now be able to have a work group that will be able to meet regularly to review and refine, make additions to the ethical code. And in addition to that, we will begin to explore discussions regarding who the code of ethics applies to as we work through the process of the ethical code finalization. So once that code is finalized, it will be presented to the board for that formal approval. Included in that draft is a mission of veterinary social work, the 6 core values of veterinary social work, the purpose of the IAVSW Code of Ethics, ethical principles that guide each core value, and also an outline of ethical standards that guide the veterinary social work profession. So in addition to that, an outline for the establishment of a IAVSW ethics committee was also developed and will be presented to the board. This draft will serve as a guideline for recruitment and establishment of the IAVSW ethics committee. And then included in that outline, we have the definition of the committee, functions, membership terms and criteria, and committee roles and responsibilities. So basically, where do we go from here? Ongoing goals will be to develop a formal work group within the association to further revise and develop a final draft of the Code of Ethics, and then also aim to recruit and establish an IAVSW ethics committee within the identified roles and responsibilities. So if anyone's interested and wants to learn more or join that ethics discussion, right now I have just contact info at IAVSW.org, and we will get you going in that.
Awesome. Thank you, Jessica. So Bree, our lovely student board member, is actually in class this morning, so she could not attend. But she really just wanted me to let everybody know that this is kind of a newly defined board position for the IAVSW, and she really has been an integral part, like Bailey has mentioned, in kind of defining what that means. And her goals for this position and for herself as we move forward is to continue expanding the VSW into other social work programs and to support the efforts of her other board members as needed to move us forward together as an organization. So that's kind of where she's at with everything right now. And that leads us really to kind of the wrap up of what we have for you. And we'd kind of like to take this moment to open the floor. I see a lot of chat that I haven't been able to catch up on. So if you have questions, if you have comments, please feel free to let us know now and we can have that discussion. I'm going to try to catch up on the chat too. Is there talk of an annual conference? That is a great question.
I can jump in a little bit with Augusta on this one. So this is the first year that the association is actually co-hosting the conference. Mm-hmm. And so part of our debrief after this year's summit will be talking about what your feedback is about, for example, do you want an annual conference or do you want it to be every other year? Do you want, that we started many moons ago talking about having regional get-togethers in addition to the conference. Do we want to start looking at that again? So part of our feedback is actually not an answer for you, but rather we actually want to hear from you. Do you want an annual conference, right? Do you want a hybrid option? What would be appealing to you?
Yes to the regional meet, says Chris. Yes, wouldn't that be awesome? And so does anybody else kind of have any ideas? Like if we were to change up conferences, would you be interested in meeting every year? Yes, annual. Yes, yes, okay. We hear you, we hear you.
That's the kind of feedback we certainly want to know.
Yes.
Yes, in person.
I
think
know.
social workers and everything were like, we need the human connection.
Yeah, it would be awesome. And then Lori, in person, alternating between in person and virtual, that is also an idea. I
Chris,
like
tell me
that.
more. What are you confused about the difference between what? Okay.
Yourself too.
All good, Chris.
You're welcome to come off mute as well if that's possible.
We talk fast and yeah, if you can't type fast.
Right.
There we go.
So
I'm
is
eating
there...
an egg roll. Oh, sorry.
Hi, Chris.
Hi. So I don't get, and forgive me, but I was there in 2018 when we put all those stickums on the wall.
Yes.
I'm not sure. I'm unclear how the IAVSW relates to, is different from the VSW program at UTK.
Awesome. Great question. Bethany, I'm going to pull you in on this one. So Bethany is the program coordinator for the veterinary social work program, so the education side. And up until now, the summit has solely been held within the educational space. As a result of that work group from that 2018 conference, the group of people who got together said, you know what, we need a professional association outside of the education to support us as sometimes as students, but also as professionals and all that. So if you're a social worker, you have NASW, you have an association supporting your work out in the real world. So we are trying our best to become that space for everybody who identifies as a veterinary social worker. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you
Delightful.
so much.
Bethany, is there anything you want to add there?
No, that's perfect. Thank you.
Wonderful.
And Aviva, being a part of the working group, the formation committee for the
Yes.
IAVSW, like it isn't just a place for people who identify as vet social workers, because it is interdisciplinary. So
it is very much interdisciplinary.
So I think it's a place for people who are doing this interdisciplinary practice in the space of human and animal relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just the thing for me that kind of clicks is we don't currently have a space for those professional all sides of, I mean, because it's not just the veterinary, but there are other people who come into this.
Right.
I think we think about more of the animal care professionals and the mental health professionals, but I think there are others that are coming in. And Bailey, you probably from the ecological side of things, there's probably things that you're thinking about and how to pull stuff in. But for me, it's how do we come together to talk about these things at the cross, at the intersection of the work that we're doing, learning from each other, growing, supporting each other. But I love the idea that you are forming the ethics committee, because I find that seems to be a discussion now that I'm not in a academic institution and sort of in that little space. Those discussions are still very important.
I see Bethany's question, but I think, Serena, what you're getting to, and tell me if I'm wrong, is also kind of the space that Natalie's bringing up about like, how do we bring knowledge about the collective work, not identified work, but collective work to people who don't know, that's not strictly the education piece. And so that is very much, thank you. Yeah, that is very much the work that we're doing. So when I say identifies VSW, it's like that big picture, like all of the messiness that our work is, in a really beautiful, beautiful way. I don't want to lose Bethany's question too. So
Yes.
Is there a work group or space for students who are members to connect, meet, and meet at all? Thanks so much for the info. Kelsey, do you want to jump in? I heard you go, yes.
Oh no, I just think it's a great idea. So Right now, we do have our VSW Cafe chats, which again is open for anybody. I do receive quite a few emails, I think, from students, either MSW students, vet students, people who are just kind of learning about what this field is that are able to join those chats. But I don't think we really have anything that is specific to just our students. So I think that is a really great idea. And maybe that's something we can kind of talk about now in the future to see how we can organize that. What would it look like? What would you like to hear about in those spaces? Like, would you like them to be educational, or would you prefer it just to be kind of more informal, like where you just like to meet and hang out?
Yeah. So Francesca, if you're still there, Francesca is the director of education and is actually going to be in our next newsletter. You're going to hear about the start of a journal club. And if she's there, I don't want to steal her thunder on this. But she might also be the right person to take this up a little bit too. So Francesca, do you want to jump in a little bit?
We had this idea to sort of come together as a collective group who's interested in all aspects of social work related to vet med and talk about some of the peer-reviewed journal articles that are out there. I don't know about you all, but if I don't intentionally set aside time to stay up to date, I feel like it's really easy to be like, hey, it's on my to-do list, but it keeps getting pushed off. So if everyone else holds me accountable, and likewise us for you, we can have this dedicated time to talk about some of the new findings that are coming out. And we are open to any and all input on what articles we should be discussing and how frequently you would like to see this happen. I think for the first 6 months, we'll try once a month and sort of just go with the feedback that we can crowdsource.
Yeah. And so somewhere between the work that Francesca's already doing to pull the community together, and even Bree as, you know, focusing with her role within students, this might be the right place that if there is an interest, Bethany, with, you know, yourself and others, we certainly can put that together, whether it's social and networking and just finding common ground, or has, you know, facilitated conversation and jumping in. So absolutely, we'll take note of that.
And I know too, when we hosted our cafe chats, we have been seeing an increase in students attending, just trying to figure out, well, what area do I want to go into? What can you do with this? You know, obviously the certificate program offers a wealth of information, but sometimes it's helpful hearing from the people that are in the field. So that's definitely something that education and even communication want to work on. So we have enough people to do that with. So Kelsey and I probably have a very long list of all these great ideas. So
yes,
we'll definitely make note of that. Yes.
And then Allison has her hand raised. What's your question, Allison?
Just wanted to bring up another subject, and it's a difficult subject, but I didn't know if we could bring this into the organization. Behavioral euthanasia is becoming huge right now, and it's something that I'm following just in the sense of as a social worker. And is this something that we want to bring on to our education committee and start helping with? It hits the community, it hits the animal control people, it hits our clients, it hits veterinary hospitals, and that one of the veterinarians that I do work with, she is getting more requests for the euthanasia in home for people and things like that. And is this something that we want to be looking at and starting to support more of? And there is a website. I posted something for people on our I forgot what we call our sorry, it's really early for me, you guys.
No, you are totally fine, Allison.
Our chat that we do, that there's a Facebook page, and they actually have a website now also for people to go to. But I think it's going to become bigger and bigger, especially after the pandemic, with all these pandemic puppies that are out there that didn't get the needs, and they're going to rescues and back into shelters and things like that. So something I think we might want to consider working with.
Awesome, thank you. And I think that's a really good point. Prior to me joining the IAVSW, I've also been working as like an assistant in vet med for the last like 13 years. And so I definitely have seen it too in terms of behavioral euthanasia and the toll that it takes. So I think that could be a really good avenue too, to provide some support and or again, add that education piece in terms of what these veterinary workers are going through and kind of that emotional toll that it takes, because I think sometimes we're not super aware of it when you're like in the field in that moment. And you've just got to go into your next appointment and you're just going. You don't really realize how that stuff can add up, even if you're not necessarily acknowledging it like at a conscious level.
If I can jump in, Kelsey, like just
Yes,
that other
please
piece
do.
of, yeah, the other piece of that, and just being someone who works in a client-facing position out of that hospital, the behavioral euthanasia piece is huge right now, and you know, there's that piece that comes in with the grief too, and the guilt that you already have with the disenfranchised grief, then let alone you have a behavioral euthanasia. Not everybody understands that in your support circles, so there's totally benefit about addressing that, yeah, for our veterinary staff, our animal shelter staff, but also for our clients who are the ones that have to make that decision too. So I really love that suggestion.
Thank you, Sandra. I agree. And it's the client piece also, because I'm doing some work with just clients in support groups, and they can't come to our grief and loss groups when people are putting a dog down because it's 15 years old and they've had it all those years. And then they're coming in saying, I have a 15-month-old puppy that I put down because I was worried it was going to bite my new baby that I just had. And
Yeah.
and you know, you get the, well, why didn't you put it to a rescue group or all of that? So it's just, you know, and then it's the, well, you got it during the pandemic and why didn't you keep it kind of thing. So it's not just the staff and the veterinary community, it's the actual people that are grieving the loss that they thought they were doing the right thing. So I don't know where to go with it, because there's so many things that I think that we as an organization could work through this and try and maybe set up some standards for people possibly on how to help these people.
Yeah, I think that's great.
I think that relates back to some of the work that Sarah's been doing, you know, within the AHA standards and pieces like that. So Allison, we definitely hear you, and we're behind the scenes doing some work, but I also put in the chat that we'll definitely mark this in our conversation as a place for both CEs, for professionals on the ground, an opportunity for learning within the community, and potentially a place for advocacy.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. It looks like I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, we've got any other major questions?
No. Anybody else have any other questions, any other comments?
Can I ask the board to share out some of the places that you have been presenting? Because the question about, like, you know, how do we get into vet med a little bit more? And you all have been doing some work that we don't collectively know. So do you want to share out a couple of the places that we've been connecting? And the same thing, any of you who are on the call, if you have had some other connections that have been meaningful, please feel free to share those as well.
Yeah, I know Bailey has been doing some work. I don't know, Bailey, if you want to mention where you have been giving some talks recently.
It's very local. I'm a very Ohio girl, but we've been doing some human nature connection trainings. One that was specific for peer supporters that are working with people in recovery. And then we've also been doing some human nature connection trainings for social workers in Ohio. We're hoping to do some trainings for the national level, but I think that'll be specific to the United States. And then we're doing some human nature connections training and some climate justice training for with Becca, and aligned with some of the work that she's doing with neurodivergency and how we can better support neurodivergent employees in the workplace.
Awesome, thank you. And then I know for me personally right now, I've been doing some live on Royal Canin Live. I did a talk for them in September on emotional balance. I'll be doing another one on grief for veterinary professionals in November. And then I'll be representing my emotional balance talk at VMX Virtual in January. Everybody else who's been having some pieces in this, so if you wanted to just unmute and hop in and let us know what you've been working on too. Francesca, I see you.
I've worked with presenting at the Southern California AVMA, the Arizona AVMA, Gateway, the National Pet Cremation Group. I've been working with CADA, which offers a DVM training program around euthanasia and setting standards for doing euthanasia in a holistic approach. I know I'm forgetting some others, but I agree, we are getting out there collectively.
Awesome, thank you. Sarah or Augusta, would one of you guys like to go next?
Yeah, sure. So I know in the past, the conference circuit I normally do is the OVM, like the Ontario Vet Med Association, as well as the OSPCA as well. So hopefully that's going to be on the schedule for 2023. But the one I have coming up next week is the Bereavement Ontario Network, or Bereavement Network of Ontario. So hopefully even just trying to get that noticed outside of the human animal area, right? Even just in other grief-based presentations, and yeah, just trying to really get the interdisciplinary piece out there. So that's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm. I am speaking on Tuesday, actually, at the Access to Veterinary Care Conference on trauma-informed care. So that will be a lot of shelter workers and veterinary clinics. And then on the side note, I just finished doing a little film for PBS NewsHour with my main work with Align Care, but I get to talk about VSW and our work with low-income families and the importance of having a vet social worker involved.
Yes, awesome. So as you can see, we have been doing a lot of work, like Aviva said, kind of behind the scenes, or maybe not quite at the forefront of where everybody is right now, but we are working our way in there. We are trying to bring this information into these communities and let people know, because yeah, I know I've seen a lot of comments in the chat too of like, you bring this up to somebody, whether you're in the vet field or the social work field, and it's like deer in the headlights, they have no idea what you're talking about. And we're trying very hard to change that.
So I'm incredibly excited about our CE application. Just gonna throw that out there. So I'm really curious what CEs you all would be interested in kicking off the year. So please also know that as soon as the ASWB is approved, which fast, we will be applying for RACE as well, and then looking at international boards. So if ASWB and RACE don't cover where we have members, we will then look into those international applications as well. So with the assumption that CE is provided, what topics do you want, or who do you want to learn from? Like, we want it all. Let us know.
We've got Teresa, Ethics CE, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Trauma-informed care, yes.
You're all welcome to talk as well as using.
Yeah, and join the Clear Blueprint is so exciting, right? I saw that presentation, and Bree, our student board member, is somebody that is an active part of the Clear Blueprint program. So I was already messaging her immediately after her presentation last night. I was like, this is amazing. So I will definitely let Bree know too how much interest there already is and how much buzz that the Blueprint program is already creating, because I think it is really important work to do.
Our clinic did a program on, it's called GLUE, and it was veterinary specific education on emotional intelligence, and it was fabulous. We did 4 sessions. It was 2 hours each session. They came in, and it was Amy Vandy Water was the presenter, and she's doing this all over the state of Ohio and other areas regionally right now. But it was a fabulous program for veterinary professionals on how you can rephrase, excuse me, what you hear from clients and how you manage conflict within clinics, and about working together and teamwork and mental health in the veterinary profession. It was fabulous.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Joanne. And those are all also, I think, really good areas for us to look at. Bailey also chimed in about doing more anti-oppressive work and CE related to that, including the human-animal bond. Sorry, I lost my chat with her. Where did it go?
With non-domesticated species, I
Thank you.
sometimes have wildlife rehabbers reach out to me, which I know we had a presentation on for this summit. And then I've had zoos reach out to me too about grief that they feel when a non-domesticated species has passed away, and feeling like, you know, they can't find their sweet spot or where they feel comfortable in mental health care. So I know that we're a great fit, just figuring out if there's any language or things we need to know to be, you know, offering the best services and support to those folks that are working kind of non-traditionally with the human animal bond.
Yeah, and I think, Bailey, that topic, like, I think, especially with the work that Bailey's doing and the other people in our group are doing and everybody here, like, it's so clear how vast and how wide our, you know, VSW is, and in how many areas it can be applied. Like, we can use it for so many different things, not just in vet hospitals. Aviva had put in a comment that we had an ask a while ago about starting private practice. Is this still of interest to anybody here, or have you heard of that talk at all?
Can you say more about that?
Yeah, so this had come up through, I think it was the coffee chat, Sandra. I think it was the one that you were doing, where there were a number of people afterwards who were like, you know, how do I really build out the website to showcase what I'm doing using language within veterinary social work? How do I start to market myself? How do I, all of these how do I pieces, and feeling really secure and comfortable there. And part of that is that regrounding in, you know, like what is how, you know, definitions and language. And another piece of it is finding yourself within that. That's why I say, like, the big umbrella of the messy veterinary social work, right? Like, what is your piece? And starting to unpack that. And so we went back and forth between, does this need to be one-on-one, almost like consulting opportunity, or can we do it as a learning and a CE? And that depends on your interests.
Well, Aviva, you know, this is Sandra. I can't come on camera, but I think that one of the things that the association could do is keep a list of speakers and what their expertise is, for the organizations that contact you to find out, you know, find speakers. Yes, it was me that helped with that, and I'm willing to do the talk again, maybe a little bit more thoughtfully.
I thought it was wonderful. You got everybody thinking.
Yeah, and we had, I think it was just recently, we had, I think she is on the talk, Rebecca, was, especially in the places where it's kind of a VSW desert, like, how do you get this message out in marketing and things like that? So I think that would be.
Yeah,
So
I was just,
go ahead. Sorry, Serena.
I was just going to say, along with Sandra, like, it would, I know that there have been other groups who have attempted to create, like, a, not necessarily a database, but a list of where people are located, what their focus is, like what they're doing. Are they in a private practice? Are they associate, like, private practice, not like a private veterinary hospital, but like me, I'm a mental health private practitioner. So where are we doing work? What are our areas? That would be, I think, for me, helpful. I've been trying to do, I was reached out by a aquarium in Arizona, and they wanted me to do some support for their staff, debrief support, because they'd had some, like, these non-domesticated critters who had died. They'd lost several of their collection, and they wanted some support for their staff. But I'm in North Carolina, and a 3-hour time difference is really hard to navigate. Yeah. And I've attempted to, like, find out who might be able to do that, that is that I think is has the skill set, so like understands grief and bereavement, would feel comfortable navigating that kind of thing. And it's, I put it out through my networks, but haven't really heard back. And so like using the association as like another opportunity, and even partnering with veterinarians if we're giving talks, like how do we collaborate there, that kind of thing. Like that to me would also be something I would love the association to see if they could spearhead, is creating a database of as such.
Yes.
Serena reminded me of something, a need that I've seen for a while. I think we need to have a training for mental health practitioners on how to counsel veterinary professionals.
Mhm.
I think that's really important. And I think a lot of mental health practitioners all over the country would sign up for that, because I've had requests from many people as to, what do I need to know in order to offer counseling to veterinary professionals? And so many professionals do not go to therapists, or they get very disillusioned going to therapists who know nothing about the challenges of being in veterinary practice, or something like a zookeeper or a shelter worker. So I don't know who would handle that, the education part
We'll
of
find
it.
it.
So
Okay.
I can actually speak a little bit about that, Sandra. We had somebody reach out, found us through Namvi, and made their way to my inbox, and he wants to do just that. He's not a VSW, but he has a daughter that's a veterinarian, and he's like, I'm just a mental health provider, and I hear all of these horror stories from her and her coworkers about they go in and they're like, and the therapist is like, well, why would you euthanize? Or, oh, they can just get another pet, really invalidating. So he is working on a CE, and that's one of our roles of the association, is to review that and then present it. So yes.
I'm willing to help design a course, and I'd love Serena to volunteer too.
Oh, that would be a powerhouse. I'm in.
And I just
I'm down.
I just wanted to throw in there. I think this is really amazing, because one of the things I love about this organization is I think it's a huge piece of the issue of pulling the veil off of veterinary medicine. I know I didn't know what a veterinary technician was until I started working in veterinary social work. There's a huge curtain in front of what it means to be a veterinary professional, or means to be involved in that work. And I just, like with the suggestion of even just training mental health professionals and some like literacy about what it means to work in this field, I think it's just such a huge part of what this organization can contribute to. And that's like such a fabulous idea.
I'd like to throw in also, as we're talking about that, we have to remember the whole agricultural community also, that we think about, our smaller animals, but we need to think about, like for me, bees. When I talk with people that I do beekeeping with, it's a huge loss when somebody loses a hive, or horses. We think a lot about horses, but I know people that have cows and pigs and goats and things like that. And that there's a lot of grief for farmers and people that lose their animals in the agricultural community. And I think that would be something to do, an education piece also for the large animal in the agricultural community also.
Yes, absolutely. And I would like to thank everybody for joining us today. Now we're starting to run over on time, so I don't want to keep anybody from their other presentations and awesome lectures that we have coming up. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that's joined us today. I've loved the ideas. This, I think, is really exciting, and it was so awesome to hear from everybody. Again, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us. We are here. And hopefully we can continue kind of growing this field and doing this work together. And we will see you in Summit and see you in these other lectures.
Thank
Bye,
you all
everybody.
so much.
I saved the chat, Kelsey.
Thank you.
Augusta, can you stop recording?